Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 63 of the Hideout, where we will be discussing Web3 gaming in the Metaverse. And we are joined by a really, really awesome, diverse panel from all over the gaming and NFT space today. So, really, really excited about this one. I know we got an awesome audience here already, and it's just going to keep getting bigger. So, real excited to jump in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick Frontera. I am one of the founders of Apollo Entertainment, the company behind the Satoshiverse and the Legions 2029 game. For those who are new to the Satoshiverse, we've been building a blockchain-themed comic universe that was originally created as a collaboration between us and longtime Marvel and DC comic artist Jose Delbo, who was the pencil behind comics like Wonder Woman, Batman, the Transformers, and Beatles' Yellow Submarine. That's just a few. He did pretty much everything. For the last 2 years within the Satoshiverse, we've been working on Legions 2029, which is our game. The game itself is a hybrid that kind of pulls elements from RPGs like Diablo and World of Warcraft, mixed with kind of a more zoomed in, fast paced combat system inspired by God of War. So we kind of have those RPG elements that tie into the NFTs. But then we have the game style that's a lot faster paced and more arcadey, and uses a lot of elements of the God of War mechanics. The game itself is a high fidelity game that was developed in Unreal Engine 5. And we've been developing, like I said, for about 2 years with about 20 people working on the project. The game is fully blockchain enabled. It's a desktop based game. So if you play the game, you can do pretty much everything within the game from your blockchain wallet. So we have a partnership with a company called Hyperplay that allows us to do that, and you're able to use your MetaMask wallet in the game on the desktop game, which is pretty cool, and we think is a cool addition to the game. And then some of the cool stuff is that avatar progress is stored in the NFT metadata, which we think is unique and kind of lends itself to the progression-based system that we've implemented for our game economy. Of course, it's an open game economy where you can own your items as NFTs and transfer them to other players and sell them through the marketplaces. We just released our free-to-play mainnet alpha on Polygon, and we're going to be expanding to more blockchains in the near future. With this alpha launch, we've put in a special feature where you can actually get in there and design your own avatar through our avatar creator. So you essentially customize all the features. You can put the emblem of some of our partners on there. I see Broadside's here. They're one of the partners that you could put the emblem of, and you go in there and you play with that avatar. You get to level 5. It takes about 30 minutes to an hour to get there, and then you mint the avatar, and we essentially airdrop your custom PFP avatar to you. So that's real neat. Definitely would encourage everyone to play. The game is completely free, like I mentioned. And currently we have a speedrun tournament where there's thousands of dollars in prizes from our partners. So definitely check it out. I won't go too much longer because I really want to get to our partners here. So all the information you need is in the pinned tweet. If you want to learn more or download the game, just go to legions2029.com. But that's the spiel on Legions 2029. Now let's jump over to our partners. If you guys could just give us a quick introduction of yourselves, what you're building, and then feel free to pin whatever you want to the top of the spaces. If you have a video or anything that's illustrative, please feel free to pin it up there. We want people to be able to see all the cool stuff that you have going on. Why don't we start with Broadside? Could someone from over on that team give us a quick introduction? I know we got a couple people up here from each project, so just feel free to whoever wants to jump in.
Yeah, hey, this is Matt Mason, CEO and co-founder of Broadside. Thanks for having us up. Yeah, we're building Broadside. Exciting to be including Broadside content in Satoshiverse. Like, we're a decentralized IP essentially. A lot of our stuff is CC0. You can use Broadside assets to build new things, and people have built worlds, games, clothing companies, new stories, derivative collections, a lot of stuff with the Broadside IP. And the Broadside team's now building a new platform called Base Jump as well, which connects worlds, games, platforms, really any kind of space that's using VRM files, connected 3D objects. We noticed that there was a discovery layer was missing from the metaverse and the spatial web. And then, all these different people using all these amazing avatars and characters that are interoperable. And our community is one of the most engaged cross-platform metaverse communities out there. So over the last year, just by kind of learning from them, we built this base jump platform that we're launching soon with our new metaverse action figure collection that's going to go along with that. So yeah, building a lot, doing a lot. Excited to be here today to chat. Thank you.
Amazing, Matt. Always been a fan of what you guys are building, and really excited that we can have you guys at least represented in the game for now, and maybe one day have those avatars in there because they're super cool looking. So yeah, definitely huge fan of what you guys are building. Thanks for being here. Let's go over to Nico at Ola.
Yeah, thank you. Nico here, co-founder and CEO of Ola Guild Games. Thanks for the invitation. Super excited about these spaces. So, what is Ola Guild Games? We are a guild, as the name says. We are a gaming community above everything. We have a geographic focus around the Hispanic markets, Latin America, Spain, US Hispanics. So we speak Spanish as the culture that brings us together. And our role basically as a guild has to do with navigating the industry of Web3 gaming and bringing those best opportunities that we can find and enable access to our community to become really participants, promoters, to play in the world of Web3 gaming with some sort of benefit by being part of the guild. So we do a lot of scholarships, tournaments, promotions, giveaways, etc., etc. We also have a gaming platform, olagg.io, where we host all this content, right? We run daily tournaments, we promote daily quests. We have a very robust gaming catalog with most of the Web3 gaming titles already out there. Everything is localized into Spanish with lots of user-generated content in the form of videos and written articles, reviews. So all in all, we try to localize what's going on in the Web3 gaming economy and enable those opportunities to participate to our community. And by participation, for the most part here, I mean opportunities, almost like opportunities to work, like freelancers opportunities. So our community takes action by creating content, writing articles, putting together reviews, organizing tournaments, moderating Discord channels, and really helping our gaming partners, the Web3 games, expand into our part of the world.
Amazing, and it's really great to see a LATAM focused guild, and for those who don't know, the vast majority of our team is either Colombian and living in the US or Canada or based in Colombia. So we definitely love the LATAM market. We think it's a huge market for not just gaming but Web3 gaming, with everything that's going on. I think crypto in general has been hugely accepted in Latin America, and so we see it as an awesome community that we are very much front of mind trying to engage with. And I was checking out some of the content that you guys create over the last couple of weeks, and it's really just great content. It's really great to see community members kind of digging in and contributing. I know we've been doing that a bit more now with our community, encouraging and helping people make content however we can. And content creation, I think, is such a key aspect of pushing this gaming community forward, showing the world that what all these projects are doing are so, it's so not the stuff of the past, right? Where you had these crappy games that no one really wanted to play that were thrown together in a couple weeks. Now we've got some legitimately cool games, and it's awesome to see great content creators coming together and showcasing those games. So definitely interested to keep talking about what you guys are doing and figure out if there's ways we can work together, because the LATAM market is super front of mind for us. So thank you for being here, and let's go over to Benny Steele over at I think there you are, at Bullish Times.
Yeah, hello there. Thank you very much, Nick. And I got involved with Satoshiverse a few years ago, back in 2021. I'm a long-term DC comic fan. And when I saw that Jose was doing NFTs, I had to start hustling, and was very, very fortunate to get an interview with Jose Delbo, with a certain amount of liaising with Nick here. Used to run a publication called NFT Radar, if anybody remembers it, that had naturally a hardcore focus on NFTs. As it is now, we've diversified to have a more diverse crypto and Web3 focus, but our first love is really NFTs, and we are focused on quality content creation, telling the public about the advancements in Web3 gaming and the metaverse in general, the progression in NFT technology. And yeah, as I say, we just want to create quality content, and the Satoshiverse is exactly the sort of thing that we are looking to promote. That's what we do.
Amazing. And, it was an awesome article that you published and put together on Jose. And we definitely thought you guys did a great job there and kind of representing his story. So definitely pin it if you want, pin it up to the top of the spaces, or I can jump.
Yes, I will do.
Because, it was a great article. I'd encourage those of you who don't know so much about Jose's background to read it, because it was a very well done piece. Very, very excited to have you on as well. You'll be able to give us a very different perspective on this too. So I guess with that, let's jump over to Spencer to get us rolling with the questions.
Totally. Real quick first, Bullish Times, did you have a second speaker who was here that wanted to introduce themselves before I do?
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. It's great to be here. My name is Glitch. And I am co-founder of Bullish Times. Our company is actually called Bullish Labs, and Bullish Times is our specialized marketing business line. And just like Benny said, it's amazing to be here. We love to showcase, promote, and create amazing introductions and business opportunities. So we're mainly focused on business development and also content creation. Amazing. We love meeting quality projects and people pushing forward the boundaries of the ecosystem and making it great. So we'll be happy to meet here in the next spaces and also in other meetings. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, just introduce myself here. My name is Spencer Vogel. I'm the Business Development Manager at Apollo Entertainment and Satoshiverse, and I'll be asking the questions today on the space. Just to get into the format a little bit, so we'll start off with a question for everyone. I'll call on someone to start, and then feel free to just jump into the discussion from there. And then we'll do some individual questions for each of you guys, and then if we have some time at the end, we'll get into some more questions for the group. And then lastly, for everyone who's here listening live, we do a giveaway every week here. So we'll be giving away one of our Satoshiverse collectibles. So make sure you stick around until the end of the space in order to get a chance to win that. Getting to our first question here, maybe Matt, you could start us up with this one. So how do you see NFTs and Web3 technologies impacting traditional industries like art, music, and gaming in the next decade?
That's a good one. I think it's honestly, I think it's going to be like no one's even going to notice. That's if we do it right. Like, one of the big problems with NFTs and all this stuff is the speculation drives regular people away, because this whole thing looks like the worst casino in Reno on a Wednesday night. It's not fun if you're not into this shit. And we're all into this shit and we think it's fun. But most people are like, what the fuck are you doing? Why is that picture of a monkey worth $100,000? This is stupid. I'm out. This is gambling. And like, if cloud computing had started this way, cloud computing would also be 300,000 idiots on Twitter instead of a new stack in the internet that's really useful. And that's where we're stuck. So like, I think we've got to get away from the speculation, and we've got to actually show people why blockchain is useful for lots of things. Blockchain is useful for lots of things. It's useful for interoperability. That's definitely something we're excited about with gaming, but interoperability with 3D assets can stretch across any environment that uses, spatial stuff like games, social networks that use filters. There's a ton of different places where having an object that's yours and is connected to you that works is really, really interesting. And you can apply that same thinking to music and to fandom, and you get to some really interesting places. So yeah, look, I think it can all happen, but we've got to start really focusing on product market fit for regular people who don't care about the number going up. And it's really difficult because everybody here right now cares about the number going up, and that makes you play to both audiences. And honestly, I think it's the reason crypto is taking as long as it is to scale.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said it better. I totally agree. I think there's this disconnect with how the market grows sustainably and what the current market wants now. And prior to doing this, I was a lawyer in the entertainment and intellectual property space. And for me, NFTs just like shot off the page as this was in 2017 as this new technology that could revolutionize the way that we own assets, but also that the way that licensing deals are struck for digital assets and the legal infrastructure that's behind digital asset ownership. And prior to that, the potential for a robust legal system for digital asset ownership just didn't exist. And so, we talk about things like interoperability. I think we still have a lot of work to do on just the tech stack for interoperability, but NFTs give an authorization layer and a ownability layer for digital assets that allow us to then create, all the infrastructure around interoperability, for transferability, for ownership, for peer-to-peer exchange. I mean, there's so many things that, they can exist as a technology, but until you have a legal infrastructure around them, until you have the actual, recognition that there are rights attributed to these things and these are the rights, it's very difficult for big companies to really invest money and adopt the technology as it is. And so I think it's been somewhat unfortunate, kind of to what you were saying, Matt, that so much of the narrative has been around speculation, and so much of the narrative has been around, the charts and the trading and at the beginning, I think that was even very off-putting for me, someone who believed in the technology. There was just too much of that, right? It was too much of another ICO, another coin that has a nice white paper raising millions and millions of dollars of public money and then not doing anything with it. And it was sad to see kind of the waste, I think, that's happened over the last several years. But through that waste, I think a few good apples have emerged and made real progress. So I think what we've seen is kind of the rough road that has kind of led us here. But I mean, to Matt's point, we need to learn from that, right? We need to stop embracing these speculative narratives where we're saying, okay, let's talk about what we're going to do in 3 years instead of what we're doing now. And I think that's been the problem with the crypto space, is there's a lot of talk and often very little doing, and that leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And so, our focus has certainly been developing sustainable infrastructure, that can be built upon. And so whether it's, like you mentioned, trying to do things with avatars that can be used in multiple platforms, or trying to build gaming ecosystems that don't depend solely on speculation, and that, using crypto as a means of transfer rather than as the only value for the asset itself. I think there's a lot of things that we're doing better now than we did before, but still not good enough, right? And so I think, I agree, if we're going to get to that point where blockchain is essentially back-ended, which is the future. I think I totally agree there. We have to start talking about what it does and not necessarily what it is, right? And I think the clearest example of that is gaming and how much gamers generally dislike the concept of NFTs. And when I got involved in the industry way back, I started working for a company called Game Credits, which is no longer around, but it was the first gaming cryptocurrency. And so this was really early on, trying to explain how blockchain was going to change gaming. And I think that our biggest challenge conceptually, because none of these games had been created yet, was how do we convince developers to embrace blockchain? How do we show them that these business models are going to be better than the walled garden that is currently there? I mean, the consumer side was kind of a no-brainer because blockchain was built to empower gamers, to empower consumers. And so we thought, look, once gamers see that they're going to have free transferability, that's how we'll convince developers, because the gaming communities are going to be begging for this. This is going to be something that they do. And because of the narrative, because of the PFP boom and the ICO boom and just the distrust that was built around the space, I think it's made it so much harder for us to push forth the actual use cases of this technology. But I do think we're getting there. And I think slowly we're seeing the development done by the AAA studios and the research. And, people kind of know that there's a reason that Web3 is kind of sticking around. And for me, that reason is because it's going to create an infrastructure for digital assets. And we all know digital is coming no matter what. And it's kind of a scary idea for all of your rights digitally to live within a closed system. I think that idea, it'll be hard for that to persist. And I think right now we're okay with it just because of like the UX that's involved with kind of leaving that walled garden. You're going to have a better experience right now inside the walled garden. But as soon as we can get those things fixed, I think, people are going to want to own their assets. They're going to want to transfer them. They're going to want assets that they know, these 25 projects support this type of NFT, and therefore I could just run around with my avatar. So sorry, that was very long-winded. I'll pass the mic, but yeah, that's definitely an important point.
I can pick it up from here, and not to be contrarian, but not to also. So speculation, I don't think is something that we all aspire to bring, but it's the other side of the same coin. Like, look, I love that we are part of a space that is open to everybody to participate, and I love that you can trade stuff here very openly and very easily, and for the most part, there's good liquidity across the board. Now, speculation comes with a lot of noise and distractions, and I give you that, but it's part of the deal. If we're looking to build an economy with real ownership and enable people to trade very freely, people are going to speculate. I think it's up to us, whoever's building behind it, to focus on utility, on the long-lasting value of the projects that we're building, and to keep communicating that value proposition towards your audience, your community, your token holders. Keep pushing until there's a fair valuation, I guess. But I think the opposite spectrum, if we want to remove speculation, we would be leaning towards a road of almost TradFi, right? That's where, Nick, you were mentioning the rules of law and regulation, and I don't think that's where we want this space to go. So maybe it's not ideal, and maybe speculation or this crazy volatility, it is what it is. But the way I see it is just instant feedback from the market, and that's beautiful in a way. Naturally, it comes with responsibility. Don't get me wrong, guys. Here, people lose money. I've lost much. I've lost so much money in this market that I wouldn't like sharing. But it comes with the responsibility of being owner of these assets, right? So we love the property that now Web3 evolves into this ownership economy, and that the tokens are real and you can trade them for real money or you can hold them. Same for the NFTs. But then speculation might make things bad for some. I don't know. The way I see it is I like to focus on the positives here, especially on ownership, on a transparent operation. I think the second aspect of blockchain has to do with being transparent and not only tracking where the assets are going, but really operating following certain rules, right? The smart contract principle. Yeah. If this happens, then this is the output. And once that is clearly communicated, we can all follow the rules and operate accordingly. In my opinion, what gives me so much exciting about this industry is this evolution where anyone can own these digital assets, is the scarcity that blockchain enables us to bring into the digital world. Responsibility to do your own research or to trade if you are willing to do so, and to keep building some value proposition that is simply better than average, or it simply brings some innovation into the world. I think that's the beauty of being in the space so early, that there's not really much of a guidance or a playbook here.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. And I think one thing that weighs on the counterbalance of kind of the traditional way of doing things is, I think we can use ourselves as an example, right? We've been completely funded, all of the development through our community, through their faith in the fact that we are building something. And so it may or may not be speculation around the assets themselves, but people were willing to support all throughout our early phase, which has, allowed us to build what we've built and deliver on the promises we've made, in that time period. And I think that is so important, right? I think that the community aspect and essentially Web3 as a funding tool that allows you to get away from the traditional finance and the VCs and all that stuff that will probably play a big role in the development, but may not need to. And we're able to experiment and do things that we may not have been able to because of community funding and community belief and a community that's willing to support the project and spread the word. And, you can tell Broadside's another really good example of that sort of community, that the community just gets really behind the project and really pushes because they feel like they have a vested interest in it, because they believe in what's being built. So whether it's financially, through supporting buying the assets, whether it's just through spreading the word and whatnot, I think all of those things are something that's unique about Web3. And I agree with you there, Nico. I think for me, from kind of the legal regime perspective, I think that there's kind of a split, right? There's Web3, there's applications of Web3 that I think at more of a micro level are beautiful and allow, just experimentation in ways that never have been done before. But I also think, in terms of digital and how digital is going to evolve in the world, there have been major legal and infrastructural problems that blockchain solves, or at least can solve. And so I think, it kind of lends itself to both. It almost becomes a canvas in a sense, because the technology at its core, right, does a few different things, right? Like, and what we do with those tools, I think, can be so varied and can cover, the spectrum of, the pioneers who want to fly their flag anonymously and people who want to support, anonymous creation and total privacy. Blockchain allows for that. But I also think blockchain will allow for major collaborations by huge developers that are going to be the ones pushing us into this digital age, whether we like it or not, right? And so, giving people rights over their assets, right, rather than staying with the current system, which is extremely restrictive, I think is the value prop for blockchain at the macro level. And I think that's where we evolve to, right? So I agree. I mean, I think that there is a certain amount of like beauty in this this sandbox that we're all in without regulation and without laws and legal infrastructure. I think whether we like it or not, that's where it's going, right? I don't think this survives without regulators paying attention to it. So I think all we can hope for is that the regulation is clear and the least amount restrictive as possible to allow people to innovate within the space. But it it takes a very abstract concept, which is digital property rights in the current system, and gives regulators something they can look to. It's a certain tangibility layer in my mind that they can say, oh, we have this entire regulatory system that applies to physical assets, right? If you have a T-shirt with a logo of a brand on it, you can take it places, you can resell it, you can advertise it. And all of that is because of laws that have been established over the last 30, 40 years. And so if we take that same schema and apply it to digital assets as it currently is conceived, you can't do that, right? Because a digital asset is just a limited license to use IP within a certain circumstance. NFTs have the potential to create something tangible out of something digital, right? And I think when that little kind of use case is what's going to revolutionize and really be the driving force behind NFT adoption long term. Now, that shouldn't mean that regulators come in and make it impossible to do cool things, right? In my mind, at least. But I do think we need this industry to mature a bit in order for it to to be everything that we want it to be. And I think that's kind of what Matt was talking to before. But I agree with you. I think there's a certain amount of community driven push in this space that just doesn't exist elsewhere. That's very, very special.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to follow that line of thought that you had there about the crowdsource, qualities of the ecosystem. And this is a trend that we have also seen, at Bullish Times in terms of the different discussions that are happening around, regulation, around the conceptualization, right, of this ecosystem and the assets and the different use cases. We think it is indeed, maturing. It is a process. It will take years to, to give this this whole industry a use case that can, have a global reach, right? Which is what we all thrive to, what we all want to see happening. But again, just to touch on this, on the importance of this, the distributed technology and how the concept of private property has changed is definitely a crossroad for the traditional industries, for Web2 in general, and it's pushing the society to an edge of thinking that has never happened before. And so we are, as participants in this ecosystem, we are creating basically, every day as we come up with ideas, as we write about what we are doing and building, we are creating the future. And we're going to be solving worldwide problems. We're going to be helping with decision making, and we're going to be helping with the efficiency of resources all around the globe, right? We're going to be connecting communities, individuals, and making this, just a global network. And that's actually very, very inspiring. And it's what really brought me into understanding, microfinances and access to credit, and then discovering crypto and discovering the power of global networks, right? So I think all of us as leaders and participants will have a part in in building a better future, and a future that is also more inclusive, which is one of my specific passions, right? Like financial inclusion as a source of development, just human and social development. So yeah, very exciting times. At Bullish Times, we love to talk about, how the times are changing and how technology and information is just now flowing at a higher speed, and also people are, just hyper connected, and kids are never going to be the same, right? Like they're learning more by being online than by attending schools. It's just a shift of times, a shift of mindset, and that is really amazing. So congratulations to all of us who are here today and who are contributing to the space.
Awesome. Well, just in the interest of time, I think we should probably move on to individual questions here. And sorry to cut you off, Ben, but you can actually start us off with this one here, because this is going to be your individual question. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you see as a news outlet focused on the Web3 space, and how do you think Web3 can improve its perception in the mainstream media?
Right. I just shared an article in the Post that I wrote a couple of weeks ago. It may seem slightly unrelated to what we're talking about directly. It's about how crypto sentiment in relation pretty much specifically to Bitcoin and XRP has shifted away from being from personalities like Elon Musk, and certainly in the NFT space during the last bull run, from celebrities, Ashton Kutcher with Cool Cats, etc., towards being now more from regulatory bodies. And in the NFT space, I would say it's going to be the adoption of big gaming houses. I've always thought people like World of Warcraft are missing a massive trick by not exchanging their their doodads, their add-ons as NFTs. So I think a large challenge for news outlets in the Web3 space these days is showing how things are becoming mainstream, which will build confidence. I mean, I'm very much, I got drawn into crypto because I'm a bit of an anarchist in a true sense. Not I like to smash things, but I'm anti-establishment, and I believe crypto gives that level of financial freedom that we're all looking for. So, trying to combine that element with a level of financial regulation that will give confidence for mass adoption is a big struggle. Not a struggle, but a challenge. These are really interesting times. It's a real transitional period. Crypto is becoming mainstream, and as Glitch was just saying, we are the pioneers of that. So it's really about proactive education from a news outlet point of view. We try and put out bullish news, but we also pride ourselves on being a quality news outlet. So we don't want to be giving anyone false information or false hope.
Yeah, I think what you were saying resonates with me. Again, kind of going back to the regulation point. There's a certain amount of regulation that can occur through accountability, right? Through our existing. Oh, sorry, did I cut you off? I'm not sure if.
No, you didn't. No.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes there's a delay for me, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, no, I guess one of the things I would like to see is more regulation through accountability, right? Actually, governments focusing their resources on pursuing the bad actors rather than, some of like what we see with the SEC and just some of the bodies that are holding companies accountable based on technicalities and kind of ambiguities in securities law, classification or non-classification of tokens. I think that's when you start to get into the stuff that may be a bit overstepping in some cases. And then I think that, you know, as someone who kind of did this for a little bit, I think there's a real opportunity for governments to get involved when there's fraud, you know, clear fraud, when there is, because there's a lot of that, right? And there's a lot of that that's going unchecked. And I don't think many people would have a problem with a class action lawsuit that's brought by the 5,000 individuals who dedicated, you know, gave some money for an ICO, and that ICO ended up being a complete rug pull. I think there's a place for that sort of oversight and accountability. And I think part of the problem for the mainstream user is that right now, you know, if something happens, if you get hacked, if you go and you know, invest in a project and they just disappear with your money, there's not a lot of options for you, you know. And I think that, you know, as this space matures, my hope is that it's going to be regulation of bad actors rather than putting up roadblocks for innovation, which I mean, there's serious money that would like to see roadblocks for innovation put up. And that's a, you know, a lot of the lobbying that's happening right now is to keep the traditional financial systems in place. And, you know, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but if you read our lore, there's a lot of that in there. And kind of, you know, one of our kind of teachings as a project through our lore is kind of this interplay between, you know, the people who really pull the strings on the world's economies and the world's governments, and just trying to find, you know, the balance between government and this new liberating technology that has great uses, but also definitely is right with bad actors. And so, you know, I think those bad actors should be held accountable. And I don't know that the market is always enough to hold those bad actors accountable. You know, I think we do need to rely on institutions sometimes to hold bad actors accountable. And, you know, I think that's where it potentially all comes together. Very, you know, thoughtful regulation focused around real consumer protection, not, you know, consumer protection laws, you know, which are really just extensions of lobbyist money pushing things forward. So yeah, that I won't get too political, but that's kind of how I feel on it.
Awesome. Moving on to our next individual question here. So Matt, how can Web3 be used to shape culture? Excuse me. How can Web3 be used to shape culture and enhance people's digital identity in virtual spaces?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, the thing about having an identity that's truly yours and you truly own, I think most of us in this room, in this space, like we've all had that aha moment, like that you mint your first NFT and you're like, oh wait, this is mine, and you can't really, it's hard to define, but it means something. And then the deeper you get into it, I mean, I don't know if I speak for everyone here, but it starts to mean everything. It's so cool. It's such an interesting idea, and that you can't explain that experience. People just have to have it. And I think for me, like one of the things I'm really focused on as we think about this sort of next generation of what we're all trying to build in Web3 is how do we help more people have that experience? Like, what doesn't matter what it is, like if it's a game avatar or a piece of music or a piece of art or whatever it might be, where you have that experience of, wait, this doesn't make any sense. I just bought this digital thing and I feel like it's really mine and it's making me happy. This is cool. This is different. We've all had that feeling, and that's why we're here at some level. And like when people say, you know, this space, it's like, I don't get it. It doesn't matter. Like Web3 hasn't found product market fit yet. That's a real thing. That's real utility. And I think it's a very difficult thing to explain to someone. They have to feel it for themselves. But I know I speak for other people in here when I say, yeah, you felt that when you minted your first NFT. You felt that when you minted your last NFT. Like this thing is really mine, and that is cool. And once you've had that feeling and you've understood that, going back to the old way of, like buying something where you read the terms and conditions and actually you didn't buy it, you don't own it, you can't move it around anywhere else. You'll still do those things. We're all still subscribing to streaming services or whatever, but this is different and it's better. And once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. So I think just the more we can do to help people have that experience, the more the cultural experiences will be built on top of different communities and people having that feeling, coming to that realization.
Yeah, I think that I remember my personal experience with that. We definitely knocked the apes because I think of what it became, and the crazy valuations, and I mean I think it might even be a crazy valuation today. But when I got my one ape and all my friends were buying them and doing their thing, and it was still, I think, at like half an ETH or something like that, which was still a lot of money for a picture of a monkey, for me at the time. I was I looked at, I wasn't minting it. I was looking at the secondary market. It had just minted out. And I really was looking at them not as like, which one do I like, but which one do I connect with the most, right? Which one represents me? Which one would I want to use as a PFP on social media? Which one do I resonate with? And so I just picked one that I really liked, and that became, my ape. And I didn't sell it because I didn't want to. And I thought there was something really interesting about the idea that if you own the IP, you can do more things with it, even though it was just a picture of the upper portion of a monkey. There was something there, right? And now we've seen kind of what projects are doing to kind of take that to the next level. And so we certainly tried to do our own version of it with the Legionnaires and creating kind of cities and different things that gave them character and allowed them to resonate with certain people. But I think that that's kind of the beauty of the space, right? This idea of digital identities that are yours and are unique. I think the uniqueness aspect is also very important, right? I think people want something that's different because everybody is different, right? And not everybody wants to run around as Superman. Maybe they want to run around as their unique version of a superhero, but maybe not as Superman in the metaverse. And so I think, for all of the, I think, harm that PFP collections did in the aggregate, that idea of digital identity and community around those broader groups really is going to be a foundational part of how this space progresses.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I definitely remember that moment for myself as well. So moving on to our last individual question here to Nico. So what impact do you think Web3 gaming guilds have for both players and games, especially in Latin America or other Spanish-speaking markets?
Thanks. So for us at Ola, the value proposition for players, for the community, is quite simple and direct. I think at the first and foremost, we highlight the social aspect of being part of a community. So joining a community means a few things. You can play with other individuals from the same territory, the same culture, maybe friends, and become friends. And it's always more fun to play within a group of individuals than by yourself. And being part of a community can also help you navigate this industry, as you guys mentioned. So when you're doing your own research, always good to trust your peers and see who's doing what, who's thinking what about this new upcoming shiny rock and the new project, and get this sort of comfort that you're navigating Web3 as a community. The second aspect of the guild, I think it brings reputation or quality, right? We do our best screening out the projects that we promote. So there's an initial layer of research that's been done by the guild on itself before promoting anything of the projects that we promote. So at the base level, the projects that you receive within part of the guild, they've been vetted in some capacity. So from there, your own research becomes simpler, or you can be more open to trust, right? And last but not least, definitely, I think this is where we like to focus the most, is finding opportunities to earn more directly. And earning in this space not only comes from play to earn, but it also comes from a series of jobs and tasks that you can do in order to earn your share of the income. So more and more we're doing programs for professional writers that they get compensated for articles, for content creators that they put themselves out there to create content for our gaming partners. For those that are working on events, could be online events such as tournaments, or could be real life events helping out in the events that we participate. We also have programs for game testers, and maybe the highest quality project for gamers is to become a professional players, and that's where our connections with esports teams becomes very real for them to get exposed and get a taste of what it means to become a pro player. Now for the games, that's the other part of the marketplace in a way. The games, they come to us, to the guilds, to meet players basically. For the most part, we relate very well with very new project. So they are going to market through guilds like ours. They find their initial like testers, their early adopters. They know that within the guild they have players that are well versed with Web3 technologies, wallets, and alternative blockchains, if you like. So they come to us to get exposure to the first group of players, and this is some sort of barrage that is working really well for us. We like to evolve as a DAO to be simply a platform that's connecting opportunities in Web3 and the best projects that we can find in the Web3 gaming world with the community that takes action to promote and to really execute whatever service or product we are selling. So we simply like to be the intermediary that connects both the games and the players and the broader Web3 gaming industry. Yeah. And one aspect that I like to follow up, since you guys were talking about identity, I think identity is key, but the way we see identity is not driven by PSPs or tradable assets, if any. For us, identity is merit-based. So we started rolling out our identity tokens. This is kind of new, but we've been giving away Soulbound tokens for 4 months now. So basically the flow here is that Ola invites you to take action, to participate in different programs as content creators, event organizers, tournament participants, winners, etc. And we recognize you for your merits and achievements. So you receive a Soulbound token that speaks about what you've done. Now, the beauty about blockchain identity is that it can be pseudonymous, right? Someone can show their wallet and show perfectly what they've done, what they've accomplished, and what's the organization behind it that issued that token. And they don't need to give away their real identity, their name, their passport, their background, etc. That's the one aspect of the blockchain that really brings transparency, and ideally in a perfect world, I think we could be building robust player identities that are pretty much driven but what the user, the player is doing on chain, that can be well recognized and be seen by many, and not only by their inner network.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you said about earning, and I think it's something that doesn't get said enough within this space. So I really do think that the infrastructure you guys are creating, not just around games that have like a play to earn component, but content creators, articles, all these things that are other opportunities to earn that may provide a lot more value to the game than just simply a player who plays and earns a few bucks. There's these huge opportunities for the type of infrastructure you guys are creating and describing that will allow games to get what they want most, right? Which is not just people playing, but people actually giving meaningful feedback, people giving analysis, giving, early stage reviews, creating that content so that other people can play, see the game, play the game, and kind of this word of mouth marketing. And the other point you made that I think is also so important is that that layer of filtering, right? I think we talk a little bit about how governments could act theoretically as a arbiter of bad actors and non-bad actors, but I think that guilds, thought leaders, various different organizations can play a key role in doing that in a more decentralized way and allowing projects to get exposure because of their merits, right? And I think that as a gaming project, I think one of the things we struggle with is that if you focus most of your resources on development, you may lose out to the company that focuses most of their resources just on creating good trailers but doesn't develop anything, right? And I think part of that is because we don't have enough validators and verifiers filtering the good from the bad. And so I think that's a really important role that you guys play. And I mean, I love the idea of a soul-bound identity token. I think when I got back involved in Decentraland back in, I guess, 2019, they very much needed a soul-bound token for identity because there were so many issues with, I think, token-based voting. I think for me, that's one of the biggest issues with DAOs in general, is that much of the voting isn't based on soul-bound tokens. It isn't based on a one vote per user. And I think that works in certain cases, and we could probably have an entire spaces about that point. But I think that these identity tokens in gaming will not just provide the gamer lots of information, but it'll provide projects opportunities to work with gamers and content creators in very unique ways. So really excited about what you guys are doing. I'd love to kind of dive in a bit more and learn more because it's really interesting. We are getting now to the end of the hour, so I want to make sure that I announce a couple things. The main of which is that this week we have a special giveaway, and rather than giving away one of our trading cards, we're actually giving away some in-game assets, our valuable Satoshi's crystal resource, and we're going to be giving away 5 crystals to each of the next 2 winners. These 2 winners, the only thing you'll have to do is create a Legions 2029 account if you don't already have one, and those crystals will be added to your account. Crystals are essentially the key resource. They're an 1155 NFT. They're the key resource that's used within the game. Legionnaire holders and 8 Army holders earn them passively, but you can also get them in the game, and they're used for all the important stuff within the game. So we're going to give away 5 to each of the next 2 people. So the first is Dr. Batcow. So at Dr. Batcow, and a quick shout out to all the Bat Cowls I see out there. I'm a big Batman fan, and I know Matt, you bring a lot of those guys in. So shout out to all of you guys out there, and also the Broadside community for coming in here strong. I see a lot of awesome PFPs representing. And then there's one more. So the winner of the second set of 5 Satoshi's crystals is Ms. Sixty, which is Kristen. Gosh, it's a lot of numbers. 494-11938. So if we've got Miss 60, Dr. Batcow, give us a DM. All you'll have to do is create a Legions 2029 account. That takes about 5 seconds, and then we'll add those crystals to your account. Just shoot us a DM here on Twitter, and we'll get you all taken care of. So that brings us to the end of the hour. This was a really great space. We really covered a ton of different topics. I wish we had more time, and I'm sure we will be reaching out to you all again to have you back on in the future, because that was some great conversation, and we really appreciate you taking the time. I mean, these are truly thought leaders in this space. So, and I know you are all very, very busy, in which case I will just say thank you. If you are in the audience, thank you to you guys as well. We appreciate you showing up live. Make sure to follow and check out everything these guys are doing. Specifically on this space, we've got some really, really awesome projects. We'll be back at it next week, same time, same place. So if you enjoyed the content, we'll have a new panel talking about similar topics, giving different perspectives. But otherwise, guys, just keep building. Love what you guys are doing. Really huge fans of all the different angles we had here. Real awesome work. Thank you so much. I'll shut up now, let you guys say whatever you want, and then I will close out the spaces.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure to be here. Nice meeting you all. Let's connect in other spaces. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you from the Bullish Times crew. That was a real pleasure, and yeah, really great conversation. Wish it could have gone on a bit longer, but we will be in attendance again, whether speaking or listening. But thank you very much for having us.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Much love. Thank you very much.